Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 71, and if you've been following me over on Instagram, you know that I just recently fit a celebrity with hearing aids. And I'm going to kind of go ahead and go into the backstory of this a little bit, but back in 2017, when I first opened up my clinic, I had a certain special someone come into my clinic to have their hearing tested. And when I tested their hearing, it showed that they had, like a very, very mild high frequency hearing loss that, to be quite honest with you, at the time, I did not feel like would gain substantial benefit with hearing aids. And anytime that I'm treating a new patient with hearing loss, there's a couple of criteria I look for. First and foremost, do they have a measurable hearing loss? And second of all, do they have significant reported difficulty with hearing, either on their behalf or a significant other's behalf? And at that particular time, there wasn't very much hearing loss at all. And at the same time, there was not a significant amount of reported difficulty. To kind of, I know that what you're thinking right now, you're thinking, who the heck was this person that you tested, and who are they? And I'll get to that here in a second. But that individual came back into my clinic here this last week, and in fact, just a couple of days ago, and I retested their hearing, and they actually had a mild, now going down to a moderate level high frequency sensorineural hearing loss, and with increased reported difficulty on their behalf and the behalf of their significant other. And so at that time, I basically made the recommendation, you know what? You need hearing aids. And so I went ahead and fit that celebrity with hearing aids, and it was a very cool experience. Now, I know that you want to know who that person is, and I'm not going to make you go over to my Instagram at DrCliffAuD to find out who that person was, but that individual was actually my mother. That's right, my mother, the celebrity, actually has a hearing loss in her high frequency ranges, and it is starting to get to the point where my father, Jerry, is starting to report it more and more. And the typical things that you would hear from someone in their normal daily life, which is when Jerry's in the other room and he tries to say something, I can't understand him, but it's not because I have a hearing loss, it's because he's just in the other room and he needs to come into the same room. And I totally agree that that is a very significant, important communication skill, is to actually go into the room of the person that you're talking to. And if you have hearing loss yourself, you know just how important that is. But the reports kept getting more and more over the past several years. In fact, 2017 is when I tested my mom's hearing that first time. And then the second time was literally 2 days ago. And I'll pop up the audiogram here on the screen so you can see what level of hearing loss she has. She had really good word recognition scores still. She was up in the 96 to 100% word recognition. So we know that she has the ability to obtain good clarity from hearing aids. But she also had good speech and noise scores as well. So going into a background noise situation, we would expect her to perform well with hearing devices in those more complex settings. Now, when it came down to selecting the most appropriate hearing aids for my celebrity mother, it was very, I usually get very detailed about this, but the one thing that my mom said is, she's like, ever since I saw that video of the tap control, I want whatever hearing aids have that feature. And so it ended up, being the Phonak Audeo Paradise 90s, the rechargeable version of those devices, and it's just kind of comical. So anytime someone comes into my clinic and says, I want these hearing aids, these are the ones that I want, basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to almost like poke holes in, would this hearing aid meet all of the other needs of this individual? And are they just selecting that particular hearing aid because they see this one cool feature that they think is a good feature for them, but it may not actually be a good feature, and then the rest of the hearing aid may not be the most appropriate hearing aid for that individual. But as it turns out with my own mother's hearing loss, that the Phonak Audeo Paradise hearing aid is an absolutely perfect fit for her. She is just over the moon with how well she can hear, how excited she is just to have these devices in her ears now, that she can stream audio directly into both of her hearing aids, both from a phone call perspective, of course watching my YouTube videos, and it's just hilarious to see how happy she is with them, and I love it. I think it's the greatest thing ever. The thing that I need to do next is to work on my grandmother. My grandmother actually lives out in Florida, and I found out here recently that she's been having struggles with the TV, and come to find out she's going to a hearing care provider who I'm not fully sure that they're following best practices, because if that is reported, let's say a patient reports having difficulty hearing and understanding the TV. If I've made adjustments and I've measured and verified that they're meeting their hearing loss prescription and they still cannot hear the TV, my very next recommendation is we need to stream that audio directly from your TV into your ears. And when I asked my grandmother if they made that recommendation, she said, no, they did not. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck? You're just going to go through the rest of your life and not hear the TV anymore? So to me, that's completely unacceptable. Now, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but the TV that I do watch, it's probably important to me since I only watch a couple hours of TV in a given week, if that. And so any time that I do spend watching TV is significantly important, right? And someone who's retired, they tend to watch TV a lot more, and you want to make sure that they can actually hear and understand the TV. So I'm in the process right now of figuring out how to make sure that my grandmother has the best hearing aids, because to be quite honest with you, she has cheap hearing devices, and she is likely not meeting her prescription with those devices. She's likely not performing anywhere close to as well as she could be performing with hearing treatment. So that is my next mission. I got my mother taken care of. She's going to need continuous ongoing care. She lives in Illinois. Obviously, I live here in Arizona, so there's going to be a hefty amount of remote care. So I'll be able to kind of do my checking in with my parents' time as well as treating my mother's hearing loss time all at the same time. So it's kind of like a twofer on that. But I'll probably have to recommend that she goes to see a best practice pro in the Chicagoland area. I know that Dawn Hyman is out there. She's fantastic. So my mom will probably be actually going to Dawn potentially more often than she actually comes to me for follow-up care. So that'll be good. She'll love Dawn. Dawn will probably love her, because I think Dawn loves everybody, to be quite honest with you. But that'll be fun. That'll be fun to kind of see how she progresses over the course of time with hearing treatment. Hopefully, and she's loving the tap control feature, so she is definitely going to gravitate towards doing as many things with tap control as humanly possible if I know my mother. So it's just really cool to see. It's really cool to be able to treat my own mother who has hearing loss, do it with with really good devices, and make sure that she's hearing the best that she possibly can. So they're actually still in town. They're here right now. Here in about an hour, I've got another 2 hours worth of recording to do, but I'm supposed to be meeting up with them. Me and Ashley are going to go meet up with them again here in a little bit. So I've got a lot more video stuff to record. So that is it for today's vlog, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't checked out my Instagram page yet, what the heck are you waiting for? I post some fun stuff on there every now and then, actually a couple times a week. So if you want to see some cool photos, a couple of cool videos, make sure that you go onto my Instagram page for that stuff. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you next week.